It was first picked in their last meeting when Maple was able to get it up, which it was countered by the Ahri. But this time around, you're taking a couple of those off of the table with that LeBlanc. But on the side of FlyQuest, the Sivir, the first locked in.
And that, Gabby, is exactly the champion that won the last game. Johnsun with a 13-kill Sivir is the reason that FlyQuest beat TSM in Super Week. I still think, though, that TSM should be happy to take the Zeri end of this trade. Both enchanters are left up with the Yuumi as well as the Lulu, so they get their pick first. They take the Yuumi. They don't have to pick Zeri right now in 1-2 because FlyQuest obviously already have Sivir, so they can pick Vi instead and save their third pick for the Zeri. I assume that's what TSM are going to slot in there. Meanwhile, FlyQuest trying to answer this. Once you see the Vi early pick, you should be thinking already things like Swain, you know, these AoE counter initiation champions. I think that the Kennen priority should rise for top lane, but as we said, more supportive top laners might be the name of the game here, and Philip even takes up the Sejuani.
You know, a different look than we saw in part of their series the last time we witnessed FlyQuest, but a role that Philip has, of course, played in the past. That Vi lock-in for Spica is also a way to swipe that away from JoseDeodo, who has been very comfortable on the pick, though we have seen compositions to try and shut it down. And now the Lulu to accompany the Sivir in that bottom lane, the enchanters still being prominent.
And I do think that's a great word to use, is the takeaway pick there for the Vi, because what you're really doing is making sure that your Zeri doesn't get Vi ulted. So that Zeri pick that we've been expecting this entire matchup here for TSM, that will come through, and the Vi protection basically in 1-2, I feel like is much more of a, we're defending instinct here, not allowing FlyQuest to grab that for Jose. It has been one of the #1 answers into Zeri is these point and click stuns that you can actually hold her down, since the champion has so much mobility. It's infuriating. You need either Nautilus or Vi or something, you know, to point and click and stun and keep it down. So TSM are able to do that. And since the Lulu's already been picked up there for FlyQuest, no threat of the Nautilus coming through to take it down either.
Yep, the bot lanes on both sides completely locked in here. We know where the top lane is going for FlyQuest. They still have a jungler that they will eventually need to elect, which is why TSM is indexing in that direction, taking away the Wukong with one of their final bans.
All right, continue throwing bans at Spica, or excuse me, at JoseDeodo, because he has no jungle pick quite yet. Jarvan also could be another good setup, but actually something more with synergy with Sejuani, because Sejuani does, you know, prefer like Viego auto attack reset here, quickly setting up those stuns. Take that off the list here. Meanwhile, more FlyQuest bans kind of protecting the expected pick here from toucouille, because they've already shown their top laner. TSM can know that they can just use their first round pick there on top lane, since it'll be into the matchup here. Easily answered from solo. Into Sejuani, I mean, it's a pretty robust pick in the top lane. That's why it's blind picked so frequently. And they already banned out the Renekton and the Ornn that solo has played a ton on. So I'm very curious to see what he dips into with this champ. Looks like it'll just be the safety and utility of the Gnar. Great team fighting all around champion again. Brings so much to these later game team fights. And all you really need once you have the Zeri Yuumi is a way to get later into the game. Zeri and Yuumi scale so incredibly well, and you just need a front line for it to play behind.
It's a role that solo is very comfortable on. When you try to go and make sure that you have some safety during the laning phase to get to that team fighting potential that you can offer, offering that engage specifically. FlyQuest now back on their side. toucouille getting his pick, the Ahri that we've seen him on plenty of times.
Yep, super popular roaming mid lane pick we can see here. Very good blind as far as the bans that are already out here. You can't answer LeBlanc. Vex is a possibility maybe for Maple. You could think things like Vex. He's also been very interested in Swain picks ever since he came over to North America, but let's see what it's going to be to answer. The Vex has hovered for a while, but the Lissandra is locked. Again, so much setup for the Zeri. TSM are putting a lot of faith into Instinct. Instinct has to carry the brunt of the damage for this team. Meanwhile, for FlyQuest, they've actually able to spread out the burden a lot more. While Johnsun is going to be primary carry for later on in the game, Xin and Ahri is a very fearsome mid-jungle duo as well. So very excited to see which mid-jungle duo can actually get early priority. Lissandra setting up for Vi to be able to guaranteed hit your Qs can be devastating, but as well, Xin super good at the early duels.
While the TSM roster has underwent so many changes, Spica and Maple have been a clear centerfold of that identity and looking to see how they can hold their own against... All right, getting right onto the Rift. The majority of TSM making that movement towards the top side, seeing what intel they can gather.
The TSM chants come out, but they immediately stop because they don't want to give away the sneak attack to the top lane. Everyone be quiet. Shh. Meanwhile, the ward does get slipped into the back of the red pit here for FlyQuest. Keeping track of Spica, #1 on the FlyQuest list of keys to victory for this game. Keep Spica down. Make sure he can't get you upset early on. Especially with, like we talked about, the Lissandra setting up for Vi. Easy route for Lissandra to be able to make sure Vi can hit those Qs. There are no cleanses on the side of FlyQuest, so we are going to get a lot of value out of that CC on the side for TSM.
So speaking a bit more about where we can see this early action, it seems that you're outlining Spica maybe spending a lot of time around that mid lane, trying to work off that synergy with Maple here. What are you looking from the FlyQuest side?
Yeah, I think it should be mid coverage down in towards this bottom lane here. Both junglers, as you can see, are starting on the top side of the map. Both junglers going to be clearing down towards this bottom side where they do have their insurance policies for the late game.
Seeing how these lanes can get unlocked, I am very excited to see how Chime and Aphromoo perform throughout this. They were pretty key components when you're looking at some of the later portions of TSM's gameplay. Affecting the cross.
Interesting actually here. Spica is going for not a full clear on Vi. He's actually looking for one of the fastest level 3s that you can do. He's gone red over to blue Gromp and then can gank this bottom lane. As Johnsun and Aphromoo are very pushed up, there is currently no ward here protecting him. If Spica was able to get in before this minion wave crashes, he could actually go down. Aphromoo gonna ward it out now though and protect their push.
A play from Spica right now to see if he can outpace JoseDeodo since they have that likelihood of meeting over on the bottom side, but that ward will put in a decent amount of work. Right off of the top, just some of the range that you can expect with Lulu being in this lane, getting a little bit of a poke down, but you got Yuumi here to help the Zeri just do her thing, getting that farm up pretty even there. A little bit of a disparity over in the top as expected with that range matchup into melee.
All right, so bottom lane, big push there for FlyQuest as we went over with the ward covering them as well. They are safe. Top side solo making use of the extra range advantage there on Gnar pushing up as well. And you can see that mid-jungle 2v2 that we've been looking for. Barely misses here as Spica slips in.
Yep, level 3 into the bush. They do get the early flash from toucouille, which is a great resource to draw for a potential follow-up.
Yeah, great sneaking move here from Spica. Waits until Jose leaves, cues into the brush, is there to cut off toucouille, and gets the flash out early. First casualty of the game, mid lane flash, a very important timer. These mid-jungle duos, again, are where a lot of the action is going to take place. TSM, though, Solo's done a lot of work on Philip.
He has. Philip fighting back a tad, and Spica warded up in the tri-bush, looking for the flank here. Goes under the tower, knocks him up, stuns him down. First blood over to Solo.
Nails the Q there, Spica, right under tower. Solo working off so much HP here, abusing this Sejuani. Taking Philip down under tower. That one is going to be painful. Loses a couple extra minions there at the tower as well. Giant CS lead here for Solo. 10 already, 4 minutes into the game, plus the first blood money. TSM Solo looking like he is going to dominate this game. Early extra move speed bought up as well with the Hearthbound Axe. Very important for this Gnar to escape any sort of Xin Zhao Sejuani combinations. So extra move speed does help a lot.
That's how you capitalize upon those nuanced advantages of the map of getting that wave pushed in for that Spica setup. JoseDeodo having retreated over from the bottom side, looking to get some more clear up towards top. But early aggression from TSM managing to pan out here at the 5-minute mark. Dragon a possibility, but no reason to encroach upon it yet.
All right, farming will continue then on bottom half. Cull's working its way down there. Instinct with the early start for it. And top lane should continue to be CS advantage here for Solo. He's working away again on the health of Philip. It's kind of sad inventory there for the Sejuani. Just the 2 cloth armors on that recall is a really rough back for him, just trying to withstand the onslaught up there.
Hoping to mitigate a bit of that damage from the autos as far as some of the early rotations coming from the base, getting these wards cleared out across the riverside. And you're starting to see those supports break away from their lane. Aphromoo making sure to hover and keep toucouille safe. Johnsun here might have some intel of what's happening over on the Dragon side. Spica starting it up. There's a ward here as well.
Yeah, if he doesn't... Oh, okay, he just moved to the other side of Dragon. If he stayed in the back of the pit, that ward would not see. But as they move over, it doesn't matter. FlyQuest aren't going to be able to do anything about it. Nice move from Spica, slipping in through the back of the Dragon. So while he had started it and got it down to like 50% HP, they had no idea, had no vision on him, and TSM pick up first Dragon, first blood, and first Dragon. TSM looking very, very good in the opening of game number 1.
Yep. Early execution of a gold lead that will be mounting. First Dragon indeed, and that's something that can give them a little bit of confidence when they try to play patiently as well and not pushing too much of their advantages here. JoseDeodo just trying to seek out the intel in this stage where he really wants to be able to hit that level 6.
Yep. Does find the ward. TSM gonna ensure that there's no extra gank up towards topside though, so Solo can keep on farming, keep on increasing his CS lead. He's got another one up at the tower here. Vi approaching level 6 as well, so Spica's going to have that real kill threat. toucouille was able to get to his level 6 on the Ahri without his flash being punished from the early flash being blown, so toucouille should be just fine down here. But once that Vi level 6 comes in, they can actually look for the kill.
Nice recovery from that earlier summoner executed. Even on the bot side, when looking at the summoners, pretty consistent with what we've seen, where Sivir taking the double movement summoners, you got that heal on the Lulu, that extra survivability and durability should you get into any potential engages on the bot side. And the wave that has been pushed up from FlyQuest when Aphromoo is in the vicinity has been beneficial for them to be able to get this blue take as well. JoseDeodo grabbing that from Spica's jungle.
Yeah, interesting too, because Rifto's just about to come up, so FlyQuest get off this blue quadrant counter jungle before the spawn of Riftail. Now it's on the map. There's plenty of time here for Jose to reset up to back to that top side. Make sure that they don't let this Riftail get snuck away.
We have now level 6 for Spica and mobility to get over that wall if needed. Ward dropped by Philip because he knows that that's something that's going to be coming through in the near future.
Exactly. By slipping over the back of that Dragon Pit, doesn't want to let it happen on the Rift Herald as well. Perfect timing there for Philip. Goes over, makes sure there's vision actually inside on that Rift Herald. But here we go. Spica is level 6. He's seen on the ward, so they know the move here from the side of FlyQuest, and nobody is currently bottom lane. So TSM are sending 4 people down to go for this red buff invade, and they're trading it for this Rift Herald because FlyQuest had that ward that saw this invade from Spica. This is actually a pretty positive trade. We'll see how many turret plates Instinct can work off by hand though, because FlyQuest have just fully abandoned bottom side.
I'm trying to clear the wave since there was a little bit of abundance there before he can actually hit onto these plates, but JoseDeodo and the rest of the team navigating towards that top side to pick up the major objective, and can't quite finish out the plate just yet. Aphromoo continuing to be unlocked.
And since the change to Rift Herald, where it has 200 more gold than it used to, so it's 300 just for killing it, plus then the 2 turret plates expected value, that trading of bottom lane turret plates for Rift Herald has gotten way worse for the team that gets the turret plates on bottom side and the AD carry that pushes in. So definitely a positive one there for FlyQuest, the newly buffed up Rift Herald. So it's a good way for them to kind of get out of this little bit of momentum that TSM had started building. Plus, by switching Johnsun up to the top side, he works off one himself as well. And Jose holding the Rift Herald here. Let's see if, with the Yuumi on his back, Spica looking for it.
Finds and try a connection with JoseDeodo, who wants to retreat to the team. Instinct with ultimate available, and all JoseDeodo wild growth
Good
targeted. Flashes over, escapes nicely, no lives lost.
Good flash. That wall has been the death of many a top laner, many a jungler, missing the thick part of the wall when they are flashing. Good stuff there from Jose. Does escape with his life, but TSM are able to push them out, get them off the map, and allow Instinct to push back. So there's no attempt at getting the Rift Herald or the first tower bonus there from FlyQuest. Nice bit of damage.
Dodge here from Philip. So that's kind of what you're expecting when you see that swap from the bot laners towards that top side. More bodies in vicinity means more aggression to follow.
And they're also making another tempo play here for TSM. They're not greeting and going for the turret plates up on the top side. They actually recall with the minions on the turret plate right in front of them so they can swap back down to get here in time for this dragon. These little timings really do mean that big difference. And with the teleport up to the top side for Philip, TSM have basically said, guess what? This is our dragon. We will sacrifice a turret plate up on top side. Our AD carry is not greedy, and we are going to take this sucker on cooldown, continue our dragon stacking.
Not much that Johnsun and Aphromoo can do from that bot side to try to contest. Too many chokes if they were to try to follow through with it. So TSM sticking to it, grabbing the second dragon here. A little
early on that smite, 48 HP on the dragon left, but Johnsun not close enough to throw out his Q or anything and steal it.
A little scary,
yeah,
just for a moment, but all the sweat can be wiped from the foreheads of the TSM fans, as eventually it was acquired, and FlyQuest now just retreating to their original locations.
All right, it's always good to build strong habits, okay? So always try and just nail the smite at the exact HP on the objective, even if there's no pressure of someone around you.
But there's playoff pressure.
You never know. You know, build good habits, build good muscle memory.
You're all about the fundamentals, you know, work on the swing over and over again before you try to hit the ball out of the park.
Exactly. Yeah, no stray damage though, able to fly around, so nothing crazy going to happen. Looks like we do got the ping towards mid lane. FlyQuest have vision on Spica, attempting the gank in mid, but he might force it anyway.
I'm getting the work with the Everfrost to try and connect. Spica's taking a lot of tower shots, but still enough HP on the line to exit. Rift Herald getting dropped down here on the bottom side. JoseDeodo with the summoning duties, so they will get this crash. We are pre-14 minutes. So the plates are accrued as well.
Yep, Instinct and Chime using the Yuumi ult to clear out the wave and take down the Rift Herald. But yep, those two turret plates acquired nonetheless for the Sivir. Still stacking here. They're gonna defend this. Jose's got no flash.
Going for it. Gets exhausted on the exit. Look at the burst fire from Instinct. He's on the chase down. Maple going through with the E to get the lock as well. Wild Growth is the answer. Flash forward from Instinct. They should be able to finish it off, but they end up losing their lives in the process. Toucouille, Charm all the way on the outskirts with Spica. He's got the 1v1 while it's the 2v2 here on the bot side. Toucouille able to make it back to the wave and the team. So now they digress. It was still a trade on both sides.
Oh man, Instinct missed one of his Qs there right at the very end. Jose gets the counter kill, actually getting the 1-for-1 for FlyQuest. So close here. TSM though, they retain their 1,000 gold lead as well as their dragon lead.
So when talking about the leads that have been acquired thus far in the Dragons and the 1K for TSM, taking a look back at this moment though.
Yeah, so they know Jose has no flash from the previous engagement, so they're going all in on this Xin. And then watch here, as they both flash forward to try and finish him out. The heal comes through, the extra damage, just barely the range on that Q. And then this one goes out the side as Jose was able to get up the front, and he gets off a full combo, gets off another Xin W before he dies. Big chunk of damage there. 1-for-1 in the end. God, that's always the big play for Xin and Olaf type characters though. You know, you have Gore Drinker, you're just fighting it to the very last little bit of HP. Gore Drinker, big heals. and if you just get a little bit of extra time to get off another auto, you know, for the passive heal, the Gore Drinker, extra big burst of W damage comes through. Those are surprising counter kills.
So when looking where we're at 15 minutes into the game, outlining what we did, Spica and Maple, for instance, I'll hold that thought because we're actually getting engaged right now. Ultimate onto Jose, flashes away, uses his ultimate as well. Nothing really to be followed up here. But is this where you expected things to be, or did you want to see more of a lead accrued by TSM?
I think this is all according to TSM game plan here. They have a minute and 20 seconds here to stack up on the next dragon. All they have to do is reset in the next 30 seconds to go back and get their control wards, set up at this objective, and use the Vi Lissandra for a bit of a pick opportunity for themselves. Philip is starting up this Rift Herald here for FlyQuest first, because they've got plenty of time until that dragon does spawn. And that has been the neutral objective FlyQuest have utilized in this game. If they can crack one of these towers, especially mid-tower right before this fight, give them so much of a better setup here for the possible dragon. Toucouille on the Ahri does still give you that pick potential. Trying to catch anybody out on a lazy rotation down from these objectives, but everybody's going to show up here for this dragon.
It would be such an advantageous move if JoseDeodo can drop that down mid, as you're saying. Just whenever you can crack open that mid lane to not only increase the number of avenues that you can travel towards the objective, but drawing some of that pressure from the enemy team. That's a way to try to break the dragon stacking that has been a priority for TSM, getting that started pretty early, and that's why they themselves want to focus some of these waves and make sure that they're not pushed against them.
All right, early vision acquired. TSM got the early reset. These are the controllers we're talking about. As you can see, nice vision set up for them. FlyQuest moving in to try and clear it out right now. It's about these flank angles. Solo on bottom, this Gnar. Trinity Force done, flash ready, Mega Gnar transformed.
Which means
Solo,
that
one of the richest people in this whole game right now.
They don't want to deal with that. They see him in Mega and they're thinking, Solo's got money. We want to try to play around this. That is one of the things when it comes to Gnar. We know, and toucouille should know, that some of TSM is lurking around here on the bot side. That turret is extremely unhealthy as well.
Ooh, they got the whole squad coming.
Everybody coming in. Maple with the escape has some terrain between himself and the rest of FlyQuest. So you have to look towards where mid is coming from, though. Spica still has the rest of his team to try and collapse if they establish some vision, but they don't have any against that control that still remains in Pixel.
All right, FlyQuest have taken control of the river here, of Dragon area. TSM now the ones without vision inside. And with the Rift Herald, FlyQuest easily push down. They get this mid-tower before the dragon fight, looking for the pick.
Toucouille's going for it, gets rooted upon the entry. Spica into the backline. Toucouille, pop, pop, pop. We have the TP into the middle. Solo arrives. He's ready for it. Sets up the double kill for Instinct 4. Down on FlyQuest. Aphromoo on the Lulu. You can't do anything when they come for you. So TSM claim their third Drake rather off of that fight.
Yeah, and they claim more than that. TSM with the 4 kills, 3 of them going into the hands of Zeri. That is devastating for FlyQuest. Not only is this going to be a very early Dragon Soul popping up on the map for TSM in 5 more minutes, but they also are so far ahead now with the extra 3 kills here. Look at this engage. Maple is able to get off the ultimate there. Toucouille's charm went a little bit wide, did not get the setup, and then Spica finished it off with his ulti. Solo teleporting in with Mega ready. This Gnar just destroys the rest of FlyQuest. No casualties on the side of TSM. Great setup there. The Lissandra ultimate into the Vi ultimate into teleporting down Mega Gnar. And Maple is able to get so much work done here. Really, really big game from him.
Through that time, he was able to buy the follow-up from TSM, layered so nicely for that fight, and now the gold lead ballooned to 3.6K for TSM. They did get that dragon, so no disruption of their stacking here. FlyQuest, yes, they won the Rift Herald game prior, but now we're encroaching upon that 20-minute mark. We're getting to that point where TSM want to convert some of this early lead into map advantages.
All right, so for the side of FlyQuest, the believers, remember that the Sivir was your key to victory in Super Week the last time these two teams played. Operation Feed Johnsun should be top of the list here for FlyQuest. Get as much money funneled into this Sivir as you possibly can. Keeping him mid is the best way to try and get safer CS. The map is getting a lot more dangerous since the outer towers are all down on the side of FlyQuest, so much more difficult to farm. But if they have a hope of coming back in this game, that is it.
That's right. Their last meeting, TSM did have control of the early game. They were actually pretty dominant through it, and it wasn't until the Baron fight that FlyQuest were able to take full control.
Yeah, and this game, it comes down to execution. Since both compositions are so similar, it is going to come down to, does a member of TSM make a positioning error here to give FlyQuest a way back into the team fight and start to snowball? Because if they do not, it should be giant advantage for the TSM members. 3,000 gold lead, looking at a 23.5-ish minute Dragon Soul popping up for them as well. And again, I really think Zeri is the much better side of this Sivir Zeri trade that has gone on with the AD carries on 12-15 here. Before the live patch where Zeri just got mega nerfed again on 12-16, but Instinct definitely will be in a position to carry.
By ult into Philip again. It's Solo and Spica working together here to push Philip off of this wave. This is the difficult part about when you have the wards that are moving aggressively for TSM. There's no way to catch them as they move in through. They don't get much from it, but it's just still applying that pressure across the map.
Yeah, and actually gives FlyQuest the opportunity here to move in, get this vision towards Baron, clear out some of that Hail Mary possibility of a play, because FlyQuest right now, they know, all right, we just need to keep vision on the important objectives on Baron and our way back into this game. If we can win that team fight around Baron, you know, the objective bounty shutdowns are such a big comeback mechanic tool. If you can win that team fight around Baron, possibly steal the Baron as well, that is the entire swing that you need right there. A team fight, an objective bounty shutdown, and Baron. That's the dream scenario, basically, whenever you're in this sort of position. And we just saw right there, Philip, even on the Sejuani, as far behind as they are, just the Frozen Heart, too tanky, can't pick him off with two brawlers there on the side of TSM. He survives under the tower, no problem for them currently.
Definitely reaching that point where it can be his time to shine in the big team fights to come. All teleports at the ready to brought on the side of TSM, because you've got the Lissandra as well as the Gnar. For FlyQuest, you have a bit more of that kill pressure from toucouille because he had that ignite, so it's Philip that will be looking to come in if he needs to. Yeah,
and the kill pressure is here with the Horizon focus being done. This is actually a really big amount of burst on that Ahri. So again, the hope being alive there for FlyQuest in the form of picks, but right now...
Double TP, one from each team going through because they saw JoseDeodo getting into a lot of problems, and despite the charms and everything to follow up, it's a pop of one, it's a pop of two. Sejuani's big and even bigger with a Lulu ultimate, but they still manage to slice and dice them. TSM, they find the opportunity and they take it in a similar fashion to the previous fight.
Yeah, they take that hope and they dash it against the rocks. Goodbye, FlyQuest. TSM put them in the dirt again. 4 more kills, no more casualties again. It is going to be Baron on the side of TSM. They'll be wearing purple.
They can burn it, put that purple on their backs here. That gold lead forever extending, the bounties forever available to FlyQuest, but so difficult for them to actually manage to grab up. A different look from TSM this time around.
Yeah, and the next thing to look forward to is the arrival of the Dragon Soul. With Baron-empowered recalls, TSM are going for the reset here, and you see they've kept Maple around the Dragon to run interference, basically. So I actually wanted to get back to live because this replay we did get to see it, but the Dragon Soul right now, very, very curious to see if Maple's able to keep them off. This pick was all TSM. You talked about before the vision coverage of TSM moving in and FlyQuest not being able to keep any safe split pushing on the bottom side of the map. TSM take advantage of it this time around. Let's see. What did we miss? Nothing. Maple was able to defend and keep FlyQuest away from a Hail Mary, trying to rush down Dragon there, and they will be able to get the soul on top of the Baron. So that should be TSM just wrapping up this game. What a statement opening game here in the lower bracket for TSM. They've been waiting for FlyQuest. They talked about it even during Super Week. They're like, yes, we can beat these playoff teams, and we want to face FlyQuest in playoffs, and they're showing why.
That early mountain of these dragons stacking up so they can get that House of the Dragon soul here at 24. They still have this Red Bull Baron buff going for them. A minute and a half on the clock to continue pushing across. So what do you do from FlyQuest's side when so much power just got unlocked from TSM?
You hide in the shadows and you pray for an opportunity to pick somebody off. You got to group up and you need massive numbers advantage. Again, this is always that most difficult question to answer because they're so far behind. Just trying to group up on a control ward or something like that, get a surprise pick on somebody. Maybe you can force TSM to make some mistakes. Doesn't look like that's going to happen though. TSM with the Baron buff, easy pushing in on all 3 lanes here. Towers will drop easily.
What they're set up to do. Teleport's still there for Solo and FlyQuest. This is that difficult space to be in. You just want to try and mitigate the losses from this Baron push as much as possible, which means not overextending, which means not getting picked out, and TSM are spread across Summoner's Rift right now and definitely pushing through and through.
All right, 1 secondary tower left to go on top side. Gonna be able to take that one. No problem there, into the hands of Solo. This Baron power play already over 4,000 gold, and considering the lead that TSM already had, just such a massive advantage that you already are starting to think about other games in this series. Already moving forward here, looking for adaptations that FlyQuest can make, because this game was actually FlyQuest on blue side, the preferred position here, and even being on blue side with the first pick there on Sivir, completely handled by TSM.
They wanted to lean on that late game Sivir to bring them back in the team fights, but once we saw that blast down before that Baron play, that felt like the window where FlyQuest could really show the unlocked potential of their comp, and it didn't work. Yeah,
and big shout outs to Spica on the Vive. So much setup from him, moving across the map, focusing on these objectives, the win cons here for TSM, getting those dragons stacking very, very early on in the game so they could have access to this soul so quickly. 10,000 gold lead on top of the objective focus. And when you're playing Vi, it's actually good not to take a lot of the early kills and get your carries more of this money. So much here going right in this game for TSM.
FlyQuest starting to get a little bit of power to try and contest that, working into some of their second items, but you can see that power from the TSM side is still difficult to overcome. Lots of bounties on them, lots of full completed items, lots of meeting here in the jungle.
Careful!
FlyQuest sticking around, going in it with the Yuumi ult. You target Philip here, who gets so many resources drawn onto them, which means JoseDeodo is left in his lonesome on the opposite side, flashing away from the fight, getting a stun up onto Philip. He goes under the turret. Spica eventually finishes up Jose in a way that he can't continue the impact. Maple out of stasis, gets blasted down. Johnsun, he's got that power now, but it gets stopped by instinct. Philip, nice and healthy once again, but it feels like FlyQuest are getting corralled through. Even with the tanking of the shots onto Spica, he's not afraid of the tower. They want to finish off FlyQuest, and they manage to push them back enough. They take down the inhibitor turret, they take down an inhibitor now, and have their way across this base.
Oh my goodness, yeah, TSM gonna run it in. That's gonna be game number 1. Maple does go down, but it is only toucouille and Aphromoo left. They get to pick up the minions here. TSM will reset. They let FlyQuest think about what they've done. That red buff that started it all. FlyQuest had eyeballs for red buff, but Spica this whole time, he's just waiting for his team to join. He's not worried about red buff at all. He goes right through that red buff. Even though he had smite, he could have smited that red buff that was at 450 HP, but he uses it on the champions for damage here. Just waits for the rest of the TSM members. They chase all of them through, and FlyQuest got obliterated, as did their base. Then we had the kind of fun, exciting, moment here where Maple flashes back into the stopwatch. Johnsun does take him down, and you start to believe maybe there's a Sivir comeback in their future. but that's not the case this game. Then you get the Zeri chase down, stacking up the ult all the way into base.
There's just such a clunkiness. Oh no, and right back into the action as soon as we come back. You see Philip surrounded by all of that red of TSM, and you know that he's not long for this world. toucouille on the opposite side throws out a charm, but it doesn't connect. And TSM, as they dodge these skill shots, no way to draw them in for FlyQuest. Their frontliner is down. Their biggest, beefiest member to try and offer them that protection is no longer here. And the wave is pushing in as well with those two inhibitors that were previously worked upon. TSM, full control of this game.
Yeah, and there are Baron and Elder Dragon on the map. A lot of times too, when you are in the beginning of a best of 5 series like this, and you have it wrapped up, there's 0% chance that you want to take a risk. And it's actually more beneficial just to take everything else on the map and hammer it home into your opponents, just how far ahead you are and how hard you smash them. So they'll take the Baron. Elder Dragon is actually coming up as well in 15 seconds. I don't think they'll go that far and wait around and go grab that. With the Baron buff, they can push in on the last remaining inhibitor. Top lane short to follow.
How long do they want this initial portion of the party to keep on going? And it looks like they want to slam an end to it. Take down that third inhibitor. Welcome in double the supers. FlyQuest starting to continuously get corralled, and you have to worry about what Instinct can do and that damage output when set up by the rest. They do get a knock-up onto Solo, who hops right on out. Vi into the backline again. Root and into stasis toucouille goes. So he can back off with the rest of the team. And nobody killed just yet, but just look at the pressure and look at the waves coming through. TSM, they have no reason to back off of this. Again, in they go, slamming away from Solo with the ultimate. Get a resurrect here from the GA. Answered with another stopwatch here from Jose. And even with the TPs coming in the end, this is an exposed Nexus for TSM. They see the end of the game in their sights, and they take the first game of the series.
TSM methodical in this game. The opener to the series. Nicely played with Solo getting first blood up on the top side of the map. The big turnaround fight in the jungle. FlyQuest invading. They go for the pick. The charm goes wide. They don't get it. And Maple turns it around with a huge, huge Lissandra engage. Stays alive, buys time, Solo teleports in and finish it with that Mega Gnar. From that moment on, they were so far ahead, and especially with their early dragon stacking already in order. TSM, 31.5 minutes, they wrap it up.
They were able to accrue those early advantages and push it towards a victory, and you love to see the patience that you do expect some of that when it comes to playoffs, having a bit more of tempered movement when you're trying to end to the game, but it worked out for them really well to make sure they set a tone for this series.
Solo's all smiles. He should be. Got that first blood, got some of the biggest moments in the whole game with those Mega Gnars. Well done, buddy.
You did it, Solo. You did it.
Honestly, too, yeah, I think it was curious to me because FlyQuest blind picked the Sejuani for Philip. And I really had thought that they had identified the Aatrox power as far as blind pick for him. So I was definitely very curious to see how it was going to turn out, not going for it because it was not banned. I think they should actually kind of divert their strategy towards that direction because this time around, yeah, it did look rough for FlyQuest. Lots of control there for TSM. They they already are the ones that want the Zeri Yuumi combination, and it was kind of left up, handed them this time around. I guess it's just a difference in AD carry strength there, as Johnsun clearly wants this Sivir, has used it in all these matchups versus them. So we'll see if the changes are in order because game number 1, FlyQuest need to change.
They do. We'll have to see how they adapt. TSM, they end up taking the lead in this series, though. Let's head on over to the State Farm Analyst Desk.